This is my first fly tying video. I've done a number of knot videos under Jack's knot, which is a good knot to tie on flies or lures with. And I'm on this type of fly that I'm tying today, which is a foil over foam minnow, a floating minnow fly. A loop knot's really good for that. And I've got one video that shows 5 ways to make a non-slip loop knot. My basic knot tying video is how to tie Jack's knot the correct way. And you might also look at Jack's knot, a paradigm shift in knot tying. This is a foam over foil minnow. I just tied this. It's tied with some craft foam I got from Craft Store. This is 3/8 inch wide, 3/16 inch wide, and 5/8. I cut a strip of it 5/8, and I cut a little slit in the bottom of this that I'm going to fit over the hook. I'm also going to use some aluminum foil, which I've cut in a strip like this. I'm going to use 210 denier white thread to start with, and then I'm going to use some mono thread, which is very important on this fly. And you'll see why the mono thread is important. For the tail, I'm using some Bill's Body Braid, but you could use any material, say if you want flash in it. I'm also using some gray craft hair. Again, sometimes I use different things. So here's the hook is a lightning strike number 2 hump-shaped saltwater hook, but you could use any hook. This is the hook I think works pretty well for this. You know, put the hook in the vise here, and we'll get it started. There, got the hook. Tighten that down. We'll start the thread here really quick. I'll put thread all the way up and down the shank of the hook. I'm going to put some super glue over that to hold the foam on. Get this all the way to the back. And then I'm going to take a piece of the Bill's Body Braid, cut it, put it around the thread like this. Bring it up here, tie that down quickly. You could use some other flash material if you wanted to. You would trim that just a little. Some gray craft hair. Pull this up here, pinch it down, cut off a piece. We'll tie this in back here very quickly. Here we go. Trim that just a little bit. Brush that out later. Okay, I'm going to take my foam and I'm going to kind of measure it here. I'll cut that right here. Got that. Measure it with the hook. And then I already cut a slit in this to fit over that. Now, what I'm going to do here is the front of the foam, I'm going to cut at a angle like that, and a little sharper angle in the back. And I'm just doing this to get the minnow shape that I want. Okay, here's my super glue. Brush on. Put this on. And we'll slide this over the hook like that. There. Take my white thread and use it to make the minnow shape that I want. So you just keep going around until you bring this down into the minnow shape that you're wanting to create. Okay, there we go. Tie this off. Another half hitch there. Now I'm going to switch to my mono thread. The mono thread is very important. There's different ways you could put the aluminum foil over this, and you could use different kinds of covering besides aluminum foil and maybe some other kinds of foil. But I put back here, I got the mono thread back here. Here is, I cut this aluminum foil into a strip like this. I want the brighter side out, so I'll just lay this over here. I'm going to tie it. I'm going to tie it in with the mono thread back here. Go all the way to the front, and I'm going to start wrapping this. Now I have done some different ways of putting the foil on. This seems to be the quickest and easiest and most effective that I've found. And the mono thread is a secret. Now, you want to look on the back to make sure that you get that where you want it. Now you take the mono thread and you go ahead and secure this. Just keep it looking like a minnow. One thing about the foil, you can push it down and keep it just about where you want it. There. I'm almost finished with this actually, except putting the eyes on. Now get up here, push the front down. That'll squeeze that down just a little. That'll make it dive just a little bit if you want it. It's not going to dive a lot, but it'll dive just a little bit. Now, I'm going to wrap this off, finish this, and I'm going to put some stick-on eyes on this. Put some stick-on eyes. So I'll put a stick-on eye on this side, and then I'll put one on the other side. On this side as well. There we go. We got a minnow with two eyes, and I usually go across the top with a marker, in this case a black marker. Sometimes I use a red marker for the gills. And at this point, it's finished as a foil over foam minnow. Except you need to cover it with some kind of material. You could use UV over it. You could use 5-minute epoxy. You could use Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. It makes a very effective floating minnow fly. Catch a lot of fish on these. I want to show you some other variations. Now here's a little bit bigger one. When I do a bigger fly, I might use 2 pieces of foam like this on each side of the hook and tie it down. Instead of using a slot, just tie this on each side of the hook. So here's a little bit bigger version. This is a 2/0 hook. But if you notice this is a plastic diving wing. I call this a bubble stream diver. Very effective fly. Really gets fish attention. It dives, and as long as you strip this will go underwater. This leaves a bubble stream. And that's very effective fly. I'll do a video eventually on doing a bubble stream diver. Here's maybe a wobble fish. It's got a diving bill on it. It even has a little bit of a split shot down there for balance. And again, this is a little bit bigger with some foam on both sides. Again, very effective fly. I'll do a video on tying that one. This is actually a whopper plopper. That's just a kind of experimental thing. I'm probably not going to do a video on that one, but it actually works. Now here's another type of fly than the foil over foam. I call this a stacked tube minnow. And this is another one that I'll be doing a video on. This is 3 stacks of mylar tubing that has foam placed in it. Just another way of doing the minnow type body. Has that shape. More than just putting a you'll see a lot of videos or a lot of minnows where just put a tube over the hook. This one is stacked. And here's a bubble stream diver as a stacked foam minnow as well. You see where I cut that off. It has the loop knot where I cut it off there. So watch my videos on how to tie loop knots. I've got one that says 5 different ways to tie loop knots. So you can tie these up and go out and catch some fish.